How would you rate the start of the season so far, Barry?
Yeah, I think it's been good. The opening night against Kerry was really nice. I suppose just getting back to Turner's Cross and getting a good win under our belt was really good. You could see we had a lot of new faces, young faces, really kind of enthusiastic to go do well. So that was really good. And then I think the point up in Donegal on Friday wasn't exactly what I wanted, but when you look back at it, there was some really positive parts to come from it. We really dominated the ball, exactly kind of what the manager wants. Defended, I suppose, their strength in terms of set pieces and throw-ins and that, especially towards the latter end of the game, defended them really well. Never really looked out of sorts. And then just through, I suppose, patience and pushing forward, we get a penalty, but I suppose unlucky then not to go on and win the game. So it's a tough place to go, especially from down here. But we take a point, we take the positives. Of course, with their goals is a fluke in a way, and then we go again on Friday. And if we can get 3 points Friday, it's a really positive start to the season.
Absolutely, and I suppose the game on last weekend against Finn Harps will show you that even though Cork City are favourites for the league, and obviously you hope to win the league quite handily, but I mean it's not going to be that easy, sure it's not.
No, certainly not. I think just because we are one of the biggest clubs in Ireland, if not the biggest, it doesn't give you a divine right to just show up and you get 3 points. And I think that's well drilled into us, especially in house. Of course, you've got to have that confidence and that belief that, well, we've done it before, and new players, the talent we brought in, can go write our own kind of story in terms of this group. But we've got to show up and perform. It's not going to be easy. You see tough grounds to go to, whether that's just in terms of how they set up, pitches, travel, whatever it may be. They're not excuses, but ultimately we've still got to go and put on a really good performance to beat teams, because it's going to be difficult no matter what.
And obviously you were here last season, and UCD were our opponents last season a couple of times. I think you lost up in UCD, and then they snatched a late draw in Turner's Cross. So they're always, and even long before your time, they've always been tough opponents for Cork City, no matter what division it's in.
Yeah, I suppose they have. We're not going to look much into last year in terms of they've got a whole new team, and so have us, so there's probably not much to take from them games. But when I first came as well, when they were in the first division, they were a really good side, and they've always been really good. They've kind of got that freedom because they don't, I suppose, not that they don't have anything to play for, but they just have that freedom to go and play ball, and they have some really good players and sign some good players as well. So it's going to be really tough, and they're a really good outfit. So as I said, we've got to be ready to perform on a Friday night. It's not going to be easy regardless of where we play or who we play.
And you mentioned a lot of new faces being in the squad. Obviously you're one of the guys who's here since last season, but there's a lot of young guys after coming through the academy. There's a good few new signings. How is everyone integrating, and how have things been? Yeah,
I think right from the top through, we've got, bar kind of Richie, we've got a whole new set of staff as well. So it's kind of, in fairness to the gaffer and Hamo, it's been really good in terms of boys that have come up through the academy. Is still basically like a new signing. You look at like College Aiden, and then you've got obviously like Nate, Jack coming into the squad as well. So it's kind of a really new group, but we've bonded really well. We've kind of got a nice balance of a bit more, I suppose, mature players, and also some new players, and then players that have been here for a while. So that balance is really good. So I don't think it's taken too long to gel together and to get to know each other and have it's a really positive in-house place to be, absolutely. And I suppose it might take a little bit more on the pitch, just getting used to players and new ideas, and as I said, new manager and that. But there's been some really positive signs so early, and with such little time kind of gone by in terms of the course of the season. So it's been really positive, and something that we can hopefully really build on and look forward to seeing.
And the crowd in Turner's Cross for the Kerry game was unreal. I suppose you've seen that before, but a lot of the new guys wouldn't have seen 5,500 people there for a first division game against Kerry. I mean, you'll be hoping that the crowds keep coming like that, won't you?
Yeah, it's something that you can never take for granted. I personally was, I suppose, regardless of how long you're here or what you win or whatever happens, I probably didn't expect to have that crowd, but that's probably the first time, don't get me wrong, since I've come to the club. It was kind of an uphill journey that we went on, and we won and got promoted. I suppose last year was all about whatever happened, happened, but in terms of the bounce back, not just from the club side of things, but also the fans, it was probably their first chance to maybe not come to games, you know what I mean, which from a personal note, you probably would have, you probably deserve that in a way. You haven't given them the performances or the results that they've wanted, but in terms of them showing up, it really kind of just solidifies like, wow, like, you know, these are here for us and we will do everything we can for them. And that was really kind of, I suppose, really cool to see. Although you're actually part of it and you're one of them, it's really cool to still be on the pitch going, wow, like we're actually filling out the stadium here, and they've come to see us just off the back of what did happen last year. It was really, I suppose, eye opening that they showed up, and now it's time for us to show up for them in terms of on a consistent basis, and go and give them what they want.
So you mentioned all the young players. Do you really consider yourself to be one of the more experienced heads, even though?
Yeah, I think definitely. It's funny to say. When I came here, there was a lot of players probably more mature or had played a lot more games than me, but it didn't really take me long to figure out what this club wanted and what it was about and what the club is built off and the people are like. So now to be here and all of a sudden although I know I'm young, I'm one of the top kind of players that played the most games already, you know, that kind of way. So it's a funny position to be in, but in terms of the manager, he's been brilliant with me. You know, he's given me that confidence as well to kind of, you know, go be a leader for this club, and along with the new signings we've brought in with Greg and Muzz, lads that have been around the game, Jack, and then you obviously have likes of Coleman and stuff as well. So there's a really good core of when I say mature players, in terms of just people with lots of games and experience under the belt, and I'll still learn off them, but it's definitely it's a funny position to be in, probably not at a very young age, because you look at the likes of Jaden and Carl, I'm still a good bit older than them, but in terms of the actual game, it's quite it's a privileged enough position to be in, to have that kind of, I suppose, weight on your shoulders of a club at this age, which is nice.
Yeah, it's obviously been a change of personnel. How many changes, I suppose, has the new manager made, even kind of behind the scenes, and obviously your style of play as well?
Yeah, I think regardless of what happened last year, you've got to take learning experience from it. It was very sore to take, of course, but it would be stupid of us to not learn from it. You know what I mean? That there's no point in just turning a cold shoulder to it and kind of ignoring it. You've got to kind of dig down into it and figure out what actually went wrong and what worked, but definitely what didn't work, so you can learn off that. You know what I mean? And I suppose since the manager's come in, he's been brilliant. He's kind of slowly but surely instilling, or I suppose putting his style of play on us, but also giving us kind of freedom to express ourselves. You see the players he's brought in, and even the trust he's given players, and that's not just for young players. I know he's given it to a lot of young players and new faces, but even players that are here, giving you that kind of confidence and that belief to go and be as good as you can, especially on a Friday night. So yes, so many changes. It's a really positive place and a really good environment to be a part of, which is definitely underrated and probably something that we didn't have fully last year. But not to rely on that, but you see a new manager comes in and it's a really nice boost, and it's it's been really positive, but it only gets more and more positive once we start putting performances on the pitch and getting wins.
Okay. Just on Friday, you mentioned kind of if you win, it's kind of seen as a great start, say 7 points on the 9, but it's kind of obviously the risk if you don't win, then it's kind of a lot more pressure on you then again.
Yeah, well, like, I think that's the game. You lose any Friday night, it's not going to be a good result, you know what I mean? So absolutely, but look, we won't worry about losing. That's not being disrespectful. We'll obviously go in with our heads high and go and get 3 points, and whatever happens, and we'll deal with it. And I think that's something that it will be kind of instilled in us, is not to get too high with the highs or not get too lows with the lows, and slowly but surely just keep going. So look, as you said, if we win, it would be brilliant, and that's all we focus on for now, and that's what we look forward to, and hopefully that's the case come Friday night.
That's well.
Cheers.
I'd say today is the first time in your career you've been called old.
yeah, I don't know if that's a compliment or what. No, yeah, I know it's funny. It's a funny game that way, but
The kids are old.
yeah, and I know they're kids, but they don't play like kids. You know what I mean? You see how talented they are. It's even whatever level of the game you're at. You know, don't matter what your age. It's when you're good enough, and they've shown so far. Of course, they're obviously young, and you've got to probably bide your time a little bit with them. But in terms of talent wise and what they can bring to the table, like, it's not like the gaffer came in and just said, "Oh, here, look, go on, have your position here, or have a go at it." You know, they've earned it, like, which is, I suppose, a testament to them and to, I suppose, Cairns and the academy to have that kind of them calibre of players coming through.
And they're learning every game.
Yeah, massively. Like, and I don't think, regardless of what age you are, it's learning isn't kind of subject to age. You know what I mean? I'm still learning, and I suppose with a new manager with new ideas, it's a new learning curve for me as well. So it's and that goes for everyone. So yeah, of course they're learning their trade probably for the first time in terms of an environment where, you know, winning and 3 points really matter. But I suppose we're all learning and all trying to get better, to put it that way.